Pankration was the principal no-holds-barred combat event in the Pan-Hellenic festival circuit and a formative ancestor of modern mixed martial arts. Introduced into the Olympic Games in the 7th century BC, the event fused wrestling and boxing techniques with strikes, holds, joint manipulation and ground fighting under a minimal rule set. Pankration had strong cultural resonance across Greek city-states, celebrated in poetry and commemorated in visual art. It embodied ideals of physical excellence, martial skill and civic prestige while also posing risks for competitors. Classical authors and modern scholarship placed the institutionalization of Pankration in the Archaic period. Ancient chronographers attribute its introduction to the Olympic program to the 33rd Olympiad, traditionally 648 BC, and literary traditions link the sport's mythical origins to heroic figures such as Theseus and Heracles who combined wrestling and boxing skills in single combat. Archaeological imagery, pottery and sculpture documents Pankratiasts across the later Archaic and Classical centuries, confirming its long-standing prominence in Greek athletic culture. Our knowledge of Pankration derives from literary descriptions, for example by Pausanias and Pindar, iconography on red and black figure pottery showing combat postures and techniques, and lastly epigraphic records of victors and festival rules. No comprehensive rulebook survives. Iconography is particularly valuable for inferring grips, throws and ground positions that textual sources do not explicitly name. Ancient testimony and modern syntheses agree that Pankration was governed by an exceptionally permissive rule set. Sources summarizing ancient practice indicate that nearly all offensive techniques were allowed, striking with open or closed hands, kicks, grappling, chokes and joint manipulations, while 2 prohibitions are commonly attested, eye gouging and biting. Matches lacked standardized weight classes or time limits. Bouts ended when a fighter lost consciousness or was physically incapacitated. A competitor could also concede by lifting up a finger as shown in this picture. Referees, often armed with sticks, maintained order and enforced the few prohibitions that existed. Pankratiast's tactical universe combined the dynamic throws and clinches of wrestling with the percussive and distancing tools of boxing. Iconographic scenes depict strikes to the torso and head, single-leg takedowns, and on-the-ground maneuvers that suggest sustained grappling after a fall, consistent with literary notices that highlight submissions and immobilizing holds. The allowance of ground fighting and joint manipulation distinguishes Pankration from classical wrestling and explains its historical reputation as the most complete and also dangerous of Greek combative arts. Pankratiasts trained in the palestra under the supervision of trainers. Victors earned high civic honors but risked severe injury or death. Ancient sources and modern studies note recorded fatalities and grievous injuries in the athletic events. The absence of protective equipment and the use of potentially lethal techniques made Pankration an inherently high-risk athletic pursuit. Contemporary analogies to modern full-contact combat sports help frame physiological demands but cannot fully replicate the social and ritual meanings of the ancient contests. Pankration was a defining manifestation of Greek physical culture, a minimal rules, integrative combat sport that tested the full spectrum of unarmed martial skill and produced both celebrated heroes and mortal risk. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so you won't miss new ones.